Wolves 1, Liverpool 2, and we are top of the league. So, big smile, but it might just hide a lot of nerves that I had during that game. I don't think it was comfortable throughout the entire game. But hey, you know what? Sometimes you have to win ugly. Every team who wins the big pots wins ugly, and that was winning ugly today. But win we did, and we're not just top of the league on goal difference, we're actually top of the league on points. Aston Villa can join us tomorrow, but we're ahead of City, we're ahead of Arsenal, we're ahead of Chelsea on points and same games. So anyway, let's go through it. Well, first of all, he picked what looks to be now his first 11. Nunez was out ill, but this does look like his first 11 now. And I fully expected us to ride a bit of a Wolves storm, take control, because we've looked so controlled in so many games this season, and really passed them to death. And it never played out that way. First half, we started sluggish, and you know, I've said this in these videos before, and it's always a worry of mine, and it's that word complacency. We never start off complacent in the big games, you know, against the big heads, against the teams that we know we've got to fight for every ball. It's against the likes of Wolves where we just seem to have this mentality block when it comes to teams that are struggling at the lower in the lower part of the league. And so it was today. We started slow in the entire first half. We didn't get it going. Of course, we had moments of quality. Of course, we had better chances than Wolves did. But, I mean, Wolves looked shocking. They used to have the odd threat players that you were worried about, like Neto or even Traore with his speed. But they didn't have anybody today. There was not a single Wolves player that I looked at and thought, he's going to pose a threat. And yet, given their lack of quality, we kept giving the ball away. I don't normally call out individuals, but that first half, the midfield never ever got to grips. The only player in the midfield who kept up his high quality was Gravenberch, and McAllister and Szoboszlai were miles off it, to the point where Slot actually called Szoboszlai over and had word with him, because he was, I don't know what happens with him. Sometimes he can be a world beater for a few games, and let's face it, he started the season very, very well, but he's already dropped off a bit, and he dropped off a lot today. He ended up getting subbed in the end, and that's because his performance never improved in the second half. Might have improved slightly, but certainly not enough. So it looked like we were going to go in level. We had missed one fantastic opportunity where we had a break, and going back to Szoboszlai, all he had to do was put it on a plate, pass the ball across the defender into the path of Mo Salah, and I'm sure Mo would have finished it, and he completely underhit it, and the chance was gone. That was the big moment of the first half, until Jota, who up to that point had also struggled, but he gets himself some space on the wing, and he puts in a cross, and Konate powers it down. Keeper might have been able to save it, but it was headed with some great power. So, and it went in, and we ended up going in 1-0 up. Whether it was fortunate or not in terms of the overall play, it didn't matter. We go in at half time 1-0. I thought, right, Slot's watched that. He's going to keep the same 11 on. Then we're going to see that 11 really step it up in the second half. I was convinced that was where my head was at half time, and they came out and they didn't. the energy, the intensity, the creativity was still very much lacking. I would say McAllister and Szoboszlai both upped their game a little bit, but we were strolling. There were certain points in that second half where we would get the ball across the back line and the game would actually stop. The whistle hadn't gone, but the game actually stopped because Wolves just stood there like statues. And Van Dijk, for instance, would have the ball and he'd look left and look right, and then he'd pass it across, and it was so slow, and it was so lacking in high energy moves. All that high energy pass and move and creativity that we've seen in recent games, just for whatever reason, and I can't really explain it because we didn't have a midweek game where all of these players played. So they should have been at the top of the game from an energy perspective, but we just couldn't muster the energy throughout. And then, of course, Wolves, who had done absolutely nothing. Konate, who was just arguing on the telly that he should have been man of the match. Sorry, mate, you don't get man of the match when you do something like that. And all he has to do is usher the ball out of play or boot it to touch, and he allows himself to get mugged. A little bit of a scramble, and Wolves, I think it was their first shot on goal, and they equalise, and you think, oh my God, are we going to pay for this complacency against the team who are rock bottom of the league? Well, thankfully, straight away a cross comes in and the Wolves defender decides to throw his arms around Jota's neck and pull him down, and we get a penalty which Salah took with great confidence, and he blasted it home. And again I thought, right, this is it now. Now we're going to show them, and we didn't. Again, we just didn't. So there were too many errors. The pass completion rate was nowhere near where it's been in the last few games. Slotted had enough, and he takes off Szoboszlai, which was inevitable. And he also takes off Diaz, who hadn't really done much in the game either. And he brings on Gakpo and Jones. And to be fair, and I know it's easier from the bench to come on and really add energy when it's sort of the 70th minute of the game. But fair play to both of them, they did. They both made a real impact, and both of them were more involved than both Diaz and Szoboszlai had been in their respective positions for the prior hour of the game. Jones especially, he came on first, he got a block in, which ended up with us springing forward. We're clean through. All Salah has to do, same as with Szoboszlai in the first half, all Salah has to do is knock it across to Jones, and he's one-on-one with the keeper, and he underhits it, just the same as Szoboszlai did. So there's another chance that goes begging, but it was an improvement over what had gone before. Then Wolves ran out of ideas completely. They had 2 touches in our box in the final 34 minutes of the game, and that's a team at home who were 1-0 down. That does not bode well for them going forward. But anyway, I was still living on my nerves because we gained control of them with ease, because they kept giving the ball away. But then so would we give it back to them, and you can't really pick out too many players who were immune to that type of giveaway today. I will mention a couple of them now, and so let's go to the shout outs. Slim pickings today, I'm afraid. However, one of them again is he is without a doubt our player of the season so far. I know Diaz has got 5 goals, and I know all the forwards have chipped in with loads of goals, but Ryan Gravenberch has been tremendous. And once again, while all those around him kept misplacing passes and doing the wrong thing, he was finding the right pass and doing the right thing. And once again, for the entire 90 minutes, he barely put a foot wrong. He had one run in the second half where he spun like he often does. He spun away from a couple of midfielders, and then he drove forward into the defence and found himself on the left side of the goal. If he'd done a pullback that resulted in a goal, it would have been looked at as a moment of brilliance in that game. Unfortunately, he fluffed it a bit, and the ball ended up with a Wolves defender. But he was excellent, and I would be amazed if he is not given man of the match across the board for his display today. The other one, he wasn't really much involved today, but everything he did right, and that's Virgil. And sometimes we forget about him because he's so good so often that you just go, well, it's Virgil, you know, he's expected to be 8 out of 10. But we've only conceded 2 goals in 6 league games, and it would have been 1 only for a catastrophic error today. But Virgil didn't put a foot wrong again today, and so he's worth a shout out for his consistency that he shows week in, week out in marshalling that defence. One thing I would say, I would like to see him get more vocal with the team when they're being as sloppy as they were today, and really getting in their ear and saying it's not okay. I don't think he does that enough, but that's by the by. And the third shout out goes to Curtis Jones, who I've struggled with Curtis over the years, and I think it's mainly due to his consistent run of injuries, which means he doesn't get consistent run of games, which means he doesn't ever really get to top form. But all you can do is come on and make an impact and be one of the players of the game, even if you only play for 20 minutes, and that's exactly what he did today. So I wouldn't be surprised to give Szoboszlai a kick in the ass that Curtis Jones has won his place for the next game with that display. We'll see what Slot does, but you know, when we saw it in the first game that Kwanzaa was struggling and he took him out, he didn't put him back in straight away. He put Konate back in, and I wouldn't be surprised if Arnie goes, you know what, Curtis, let's see what you can do, lad. There's the shirt. Let's give it 90 minutes. It's yours if you earn it today. We'll see. I'm guessing, of course. A final. It's not really a shout out, but I do have to mention Konate. He did seem to be genuinely upset then that Ryan Gravenberch was given man of the match, and he was the one who had to hand him the trophy because he thought he should have it. No. First of all, you scored a goal, brilliant. Secondly, you did a fantastic block when Trent was left a little bit for dead, and those two were excellent moments. But you also gave a goal away, and there was one pass you gave straight to their midfielder when you were under no pressure, so you're not getting man of the match, right? So deal with it. Anyway, top of the league, 3 away games, 3 away wins, and we also won in the San Siro. So that bodes really well, but it's this defensive solidity that was shown as well, that even in games where you're not at your best, even when you've got to win ugly, you've got to scrap for it, you've got to fight for it, no matter who it's against, if you've got a solid defence, you can always nick the game, and that's exactly what we did today. This is not going to be the norm. This team has too much quality for them to put in sluggish displays like that too often. But today was one. We got away with it, but we're top of the league, and let's just keep driving forward and let everyone else worry about us. You'll never walk alone. See you after the next one. Ta-ra.